Greetings, humans! Zbot4096 here, with a review of Bong Joon-ho's new film, Mickey 17, opening this weekend. And what a wonder it is to be let back into the brain of your wonderful human Bong Joon-ho again. Having just reviewed his early film Snowpiercer on its 4K disc release, and not being able to purge from RAM his Best Picture Oscar-winning Parasite from a few years ago, your Joon-ho sits alongside Alex Garland, Denis Villeneuve, and Christopher Nolan as must-see filmmakers for us. Well, does Mickey 17 measure up? Now, before we surge ahead, we should advise you we are operating at spoiler bar level 1 for this brand new release and will only include discussion of details observed in the trailer. As it happens, there's a lot in that trailer, so we'll exercise our discretion and share only the premise of the film. And what a premise it is. Robert Pattinson, who played a vampire and then only later turned into a bat, stars as the titular Mickey 17. A regular person who signs up to be a planetary colonist, but in a class lower than steerage on the Titanic, namely as an expendable. He is the designated crew member for any high-risk mission, and should he be killed in the process, he will simply be reprinted from a human 3D printer. This is a delightful remix of familiar Joon-ho elements, checking the box for absurdist satire of modern human classism and consumerism. Of course, it also echoes every humaniform robot, replicant, and re-sleeved human from Asimov to Dick to Garland to Morgan. Humans have a knack for using stand-ins for class struggle, presumably as a way to reach classist segments of the population who would not ordinarily walk into a film about real-world class struggle, since they would see themselves presented as the bad guys. This has indeed been a mainstay of both science fiction and political satire, and of course, the two together is where storytellers like Joon-ho have developed a modern specialization. Then one must ask, is there something new to this angle, if we are so familiar with it that it forms a distinct pattern? The theme of treating people as disposable, exposing more about the class in power, is certainly familiar. What this film does differently is that it exposes the idea of personhood to iterations of the same being. This again isn't new, but also gets dismissed by inconsistency in other stories. For example, Star Trek has treated duplication with varying levels of value attributed to the duplicate. There's an original series episode, The Enemy Within, that split Captain Kirk into an aggressive Kirk and a meek Kirk, and the show told us both halves are necessary for the original to be successful. Next Generation split Riker through a transporter accident, but relegated one perfectly valid Riker to become a renegade Maquis pirate character. Data's personhood is challenged on the basis of him being manufactured in the measure of a man. Sometimes the clone is presented to have no rights at all. On Voyager, duplicates and mergers are summarily dismissed. Now here, we have a more thoughtful and less on-the-nose experience, where we as the audience get to know the multiples and see where they may or may not balance each other. The outcome is not telegraphed, and once we are on a track to an outcome, we are not certain we will get there. The characters, even the duplicates, are multi-dimensional and have their own valid feelings and motivations and arcs. It's actually quite fascinating to watch this happen. It's less allegory, like a Twilight Zone episode, and more a reflection on duality within all beings to some extent or another. The programs in our consciousness that pull in one direction or another, to see that presented in separate and complete beings is fascinating to behold. There is something that lets us down, however, which is a nagging concern we have for nearly all human science fiction films. And it is this. The planet they land on has one local life form we see, and it is large. This is a bit lazy. There is no ecology in the galaxy that has one life form, let alone a large one. It breaks the suspension of disbelief. There is a point in the film where one character points to the sky, and we got our hopes up that we would see more life forms on this planet. But no, that didn't happen. The pointing was merely a gesture. Rarely do we see a robust ecosystem presented, and we have to give credit to James Cameron for presenting one in Avatar. But otherwise, nearly everything, from Starship Troopers to even Dune, which you know we love, seems to only present one or two large megafauna on a desolate planet. This is just nonsense. No megafauna can get to those sizes without a vibrant ecosystem beneath it. Ugh. And finally, we've delayed long enough on answering the question of whether Mickey 17 measures up. The regrettable truth for us is that this is not Junho's best film so far. But it is firmly in that Snowpiercer category of a dystopian class warfare story in an absurdist wrapper. It's bleak, features a buffoon of an oligarch as the antagonist, and while it does offer something new, most of the operation of the journey we are put through seems very familiar indeed. So, for giving us some nuance and dimensionality to the Disposable People story, albeit with some familiar tropes and framing, this was still entertaining and engaging for the full runtime, so we give Mickey 17 our high rating. And so concludes this human version of our review. If you have feedback on it, please write in your comments so that we can upload the galactic version to Zoggplex. Next week, we plan to review the new science fiction film The Electric State from the Russo brothers, who made the Captain America and Endgame films in the MCU. That is all we know about it, although we are worried from the title that this will be another dystopian parable about the trajectory of human civilization. Well, at least it's still all science fiction. Ha. So you see, you can expect more discussions and reviews of theatrical movies, streaming shows, and 4K home video releases as we continue to engage with your human rectangular entertainment. So please watch, like, subscribe, and comment so that we can continue to have the human voice reflected in the cosmos. So until next time, farewell, humans.